Yo, I'm out here struggle streaming. Lost all my people that went to bed. Struggle streaming in these streets. Shout out to the SB community. Shout out to those people who may be watching tomorrow and have no idea what I'm talking about. My first broadcast, I got a new sound system. Got a new sound system. And apparently it wasn't making any sound, but noise. So I'm here testing it out. Hopefully my sound is on point right now. I need somebody to come up in this piece and tell me if the sound is okay. Testing. Tell me if the sound, drop a comment. Can you hear me? So we're going to test this thing out. I know I'm struggle streaming. I apologize to those of you who was hearing noise outside of the noise that I normally do. All right. If you in the chat, just give me an okay if you could hear the correct sound. If you could hear me talking, throw a thumbs up or let me know in the chat while we get this thing underway. Got you. Super excited to talk about these Knicks, man. Super excited. But we're going to do this thing the right way. All right, I'm going to roll with it until y'all tell me y'all can't hear me. Hopefully, we've solved the problems. Hopefully, we've solved the challenges. Right about now. All right. So I want to welcome you all back to Sheer Brilliance Knicks. We got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to cover today. All right. I see a comment. Let's go. Let's go. Knicks are nice. Let's go. All right. Good. So let's rewind all that back. All right. We are going to rewind that back. Hope that wasn't too crazy. All right. But I want to welcome you back. Actually, let me kick it off. Let me get my rhythm right. Let me do it the right way. Let's get it. Let's
victory. I just got another victory. Opposition said they sick of me. We turn their future to history. They try to hit me, they missing me. Ooh, they in the way. They getting stepped on back in the day. We who they slept on. You see my place.
So what's going on, everybody? This is Sheer from Sheer Brilliance Knicks. Okay? I want to thank y'all for rocking with me. I want to thank y'all for enduring my struggle streaming. I'm still learning a new sound system that I got with a new microphone. Okay? So apparently I got off to a rough start with the new system, but we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right. Really want to hop on here, man, because it's a couple of things that I really wanted to talk about. The New York Knicks had a fantastic season. Fantastic season. Right now, we're in the throes of the off season. And if you look at Twitter and if you let Twitter tell it, we are going to get the biggest names. We're going to go for trades, and they're going to be the most phenomenal trades. All right. And I might get into it a little bit, talking about potential. Okay. But I love what our team has done. I'm completely prepared to rock with our team. Our team is phenomenal. And it's just good vibes, man. Good vibes all around with this squad. We had a great showing. I'm even more impressed now after seeing what Miami is doing to the Heat right now. So it's a lot that we're going to get into. All right. But let me take you here real quick. I wanted to talk a little bit about Knicks Daily Edition. All right. And Hold on, let me.
Knicks Daily Edition.
All right. I don't know if y'all can hear the sound effects. If y'all can hear the sound effects, give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat. But Knicks Daily Edition. I want to thank all of you in the SB community, those people who are on live watching right now, those people who will be watching a little bit later on. I just want to thank all of you, okay? It's Knicks Daily Edition, if you're new to the channel, is usually done after we celebrate New York Knicks victories here on Sheer Brilliance Knicks. And we just have a blast with it. We have a blast with it. You guys engage. We talk about who's the bacon, egg, and cheese, the quarter water of the game, the quarter water of the game. Okay? So we talk about who's the quarter water of the game, and we really do it Knicks Daily style. Okay? And something that I really, really love, I can't do this without you guys. We're building the channel up. I'm at about 847 followers. We're about to hit 1K in no time. And I just wanted to extend my thanks. It's been a fun season, man. Watching these New York Knicks, man, they've given us highs and lows, near heart attacks, but they really, really had a great season for us to get excited about. And it's continuing to take steps, little by little, towards the ultimate goal. Sustainable winning, a young team that can grow together and do great things, and we're here for it. So I want to take this time to thank you guys for rocking with me here at SB Knicks. I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of rebranding this summer. So what's now known, excuse me, what is now known as SB Knicks Bro, I messed up all the way around. What's now known as SB Knicks is going to be Knicks Deli.
Knicks Daily Edition.
All right. So you will see the transition, working on a logo, pretty much working on a different format to make this thing officially Knicks Deli on all platforms. All right. So I thank you guys for helping me make that decision, because y'all rock and vibe so much with the Knicks Deli segment. So 100% right now it's SB Knicks, but pretty soon we're going to be Knicks Deli. Okay. And we're going to be expanding the menu, goddammit. So I want to thank you all for that as well. All right, now, you know, if you join me and you're a fan of the show, we don't do anything. We don't move forward with the content without doing our shout outs to the SB community. All right. And we do that by talking about Sheer's top five, dead or alive. Okay. But this segment is going to be different. Okay. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to do 5 people from SB community. We're not going to do that. I'm sorry. Don't get offended, SB community. You're just going to have to step aside a little bit for this session only. But this is going to be special because Sheer's top 5 today is going to go to the ops.
We circling the block. We spinning the block.
They're circling the block and spinning the block on us. Okay? But listen, I'm unique here. And I respect that. I do. I respect the smoke. Friend or foe, we want the smoke. I want all the smoke. Okay? But we're going to do it this way. We are going to give a shout out. Sheer's top 5 is going to pretty much be the ops. Okay? So number 1 is going to be Miami fan Fresh Prince. Shout out to you. Number 2 is going to be Miami fan Jason Klinetsky. Shout out to you as well. Number 3 is going to be Dallas fan Michael Henderson. Shout out to you, Michael Henderson. Number 4 is going to be Miami The Wickedness. All right? Miami fan The Wickedness. Shout out to you. And number 5 is not an op. He's actually one of our own. Shout out to Kenneth Lane. It is graduation season. And this man is doing nothing less but collecting education and collecting degrees. So I want to extend the congratulations to one of Knicks Nation, my guy, Kenneth Lane. It is graduation season. And shout out to you all. Sheer's top 5. All right. So 100% it is time. It's time to talk about our New York Knicks. All right. And what really prompted me to make this video was Twitter. I'm seeing everybody either talking about who we should trade. I'm seeing everybody talking about all the coaches that are out there right now and why Tibbs should be thrown out and why should we get one of these coaches who are out there on the free agent market. And I'm looking and I'm thinking nothing less than y'all ninjas are crazy. Y'all ninjas are crazy. Okay? So I wanted to hop on here just with a couple of topics, man, and remind you of how far we've come. Okay? How far we come and how we've been able to change the culture here at the New York Knicks organization. All right? Because many of you have forgotten. Many of you have short memories. All right? It's been 11 months and many of you may have forgotten. So allow your boy to remind you. Allow your boy to remind you. Okay? So let me do it by doing it this way. 11 months ago, the New York Knicks were in a bad way. In a bad way. I remember making videos. We were preparing for the draft, right? That's what we were doing. I think we were preparing for the draft. Let me find a draft picture. Okay? The New York Knicks, we were all sitting there looking and preparing for the draft. Yeah, y'all got some insight into some of the things I want to talk about. But the New York Knicks were waiting for the draft, and me personally, I had my eye on Jaden Ivey. Okay? And I remember it was so uncertain. Knicks were coming off of a bad season, but we had hope because we had this draft that we were about to go into. Okay? Jaden Ivey was there. We were trying to trade with the Sacramento Kings, I remember. And the Sacramento Kings laughed at the young players that we offered. You remember that? They laughed. They was just like, nah, man, we ain't trading now. We good. And they ended up keeping Jaden Ivey. So that was the first step of disappointment that the New York Knicks faced. Because at a certain point in time, we all was building up and thinking and trying to envision Jaden Ivey being in a New York Knicks uniform. So that was one of the first things that we were just like, damn, we lost out on that one. But in the process, after they ultimately decided, Detroit decided to take Jaden Ivey and Keenan, I think Keenan Murray went to the Sacramento Kings. The New York Knicks did make some moves. And they made some moves to get rid of the veterans that were here last year. An important move. They made moves to get rid of those veterans who were taking the time from a lot of the young players last season. So that was one of the first positive steps that this front office decided to move on. Okay? They decided, you know what? Boom. I want to get Nerlens Noel out of here. Some of the bench players that was taking up a lot of the minutes from the Young Bucks, man, we're going to send them off to Detroit, get some picks back. So the New York Knicks fans are like, what are we doing right now? We got to be doing something. What is the front office doing? But something about this front office that is unique is that they don't share what their cards look like. They don't share. They don't let you in on what their mindset is and what their thought process is. And that's one thing that I love about this organization. That's one thing I love about Leon. I don't got to tell you anything. And that's another thing that they were wilding about on Twitter. Talking about Leon don't talk to nobody. Leon, once again, has refused an invitation to talk to the media. And they're going to lean into it like it's a bad thing. You see the work that he's done so far. So what's the problem? Apparently his style has been working. It's working for us. We already have eyes and ears all on us because we're in New York. But what you want to do is have him come out so you can ask him questions, so you can back him into a corner to either have him looking crazy when some of his plans don't go accordingly. And he ain't falling for the okie doke. Stephen A., all of you reporters who are out there reporting on stuff like that. So, man, we were in a bad way 11 months ago. I remember being pissed, man, because I'm like, damn, yo, All New York Knicks fans, one thing we can all agree on, yo, we just want a break. The last break that we caught was Kristaps Porzingis. But he turned out to be a positive after we got him. All right. Actually, the last break that we caught was Jalen Brunson. But once again, he turned out to be even more than that contract was. But in terms of a break, that was Patrick Ewing in the draft. That was the last time we had a break. So New York fans, man, when we ain't never gonna play the lottery because we ain't never gonna win. But 11 months ago, man, it was really it was tough. And it started out with that draft. It started out with the draft where we had an opportunity to try to go up and trade into the fourth or the fifth spot. And nobody was biting. So the next thing that we had to lean on was free agency. And if you recall what that free agency period looked like, it wasn't too attractive. There was the possibility of Dallas not re-signing Jalen Brunson and Jalen Brunson becoming available. And he did have a great run, but as he started to get closer and closer to becoming available, New York Knicks fans and reporters and pontificators, they start dissecting his game. And then we start having doubts like, okay, is he undersized? Is he too undersized to play at the point guard position in New York? He's going to be a defensive liability. Okay. Is he just a second unit player? Is he a backup that we're going to be giving starter money to? So all of these pontificators, all of Twitter was embedding doubt in Knicks fans. Okay. So that was another thing. Okay. But ultimately, the New York Knicks front office, they stuck to their guns. They put their eye on a target. They watched the situation closely. And then they went out and they finished the job. And they got the New York Knicks their first legitimate point guard in forever. Okay? And Mavs fans went crazy. That's why I got to give a shout out in my top 5 to the Mavs fan who continues to engage with my page, who actually says himself that he's become part of the Knicks fan. He's at least tried it. And I give him an A for effort with that. All right. At least trying to see what it would be to follow this team. Okay. But it's just crazy to watch. It's just crazy to watch about how that turned out. And then surprisingly, what was unexpected was DeJounte Murray became available as somebody that San Antonio was looking to trade. And the New York Knicks was just like, yeah, the fans were like, we could get him. If we could put him next to Brunson to kind of back him up and defensively, bro, we could go at it. And then the Atlanta Hawks flew in, scooped him up, and took him to Atlanta. So it felt once again like a loss for the New York Knicks. I have to recap this because it was a negative mood in that summer. And many of you act like you forgot that feeling. I didn't. I don't. I feel it. So DeJounte Murray off the board. And I'm like, damn, all right, we got Jalen Brunson, and that's exactly what we needed. But we wanted to get two people. We wanted to get something. We wanted to have two. We had an opportunity to pull out of this summer with two people. All right. Now we're all fixated on what's Donovan Mitchell going to do? Okay. Because I think all of a sudden Rudy Gobert was traded. And we were just like, what? Like, what is going on? So does that mean Donovan Mitchell's going to be traded? And absolutely it did. And the New York Knicks got so close to closing that deal that we could taste it, that Donovan Mitchell himself could taste it. The rumors were out there as close to a done deal. We're looking at Jalen Brunson. We're looking at Donovan Mitchell as the New York Knicks backcourt. What does that look like? And analysts were tearing us apart. New York Knicks are going to have the trashiest defensive backcourt. They're going to play no defense, and it's going to be a losing tandem. It doesn't fit in New York, all of this. Okay? And then we get late, very close to the start of the season. And then the deal doesn't go through. And the Cleveland Cavaliers sweep in, and they made the deal that the New York Knicks couldn't make. And in this instance, it wasn't as a result of the New York Knicks. I say that to this day. I'll take that to my grave. It was Danny Ainge being Danny Ainge when it comes to Celtics Knicks lore. When it comes to his connection with the Boston Celtics, he ain't never going to do anything to put the New York Knicks in position to win or to compete with the Boston Celtics. Those ties are strong. Okay? But once again, that sent us into a tailspin in terms of the energy that we were bringing into New York, into that regular season. So now we're looking like, okay, we got a point guard, we made a nice little move. We got Hartenstein. Who is this kid? What can he do? All right, we just gonna rock with it. Because prior to all that, even prior to Brunson, we had kind of settled with the fact that we were going to have IQ as our starting point guard. Now, I gotta rehash all of that because I'm seeing the craziness in terms of Twitter. I'm seeing the craziness of how you guys are talking about all these trades as if this team didn't show you development. All right. So speaking of development, before I jump into that, let me go to the comment sections, acknowledge my people who are here. Yo, Knicks are nice, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for helping me out with the sound. I was struggle streaming for a second there. So shout out to you, my guy. Allah Wise says peace. Allah Wise, what's good, my brother? What's going on? What is going on with you? Nixon Nice also says Twitter is a wasteland. Yo, bro, it is for real. It is, but we're all addicted. We're addicted, because sometimes it's funny. It could be amusing. But yeah, it's a little bit. It's just crazy, man. I don't know. We're gonna get into that. My guy Mike Lilly says, "I'm in, bro. Let's go. Let's go, Mike. Let's go." Nixon Nice also says a lot of pods was hating on Leon Rose not talking, bro. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But everything that the front office has done has resulted in us being here. Semi-conference finals this year. In 3 years. First year we made the playoffs after being out of the playoffs for a number of years, at minimum 10 years. And then we make the playoffs in Tibbs' first year. And then the second year there was a struggle. And in the third year, we make the playoff semifinals. Come on, man. Come on. Listen, it's so funny, man. I'm a person who operates best when there's a process. I'm a little bit, regimented, and, I need a plan A and a plan B, and then don't want to really go to the plan C because you're planning to fail at that point. Let me get a plan A and a plan B, okay? Let me see the destination and let me try to put my mind around how we're going to get there. And I love it because this front office operates the same way. They absolutely operate the same way. But it was killing me. I mean, Knicks fans are so, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, all of us. But we could be fickle, man. We could really be fickle. But let me do this. Let's talk about this player development, okay? Because ultimately, when we came to terms that we had our point guard, Jalen Brunson, the other side of that was we just traded out all of these veterans, all of the veterans that was taking up the majority of minutes from the Young Bucks. So we had pretty much committed to going forward with the youth, in addition to Julius. But the rest of the players, Julius and Brunson, rest of the players we put forth were our youngins. Those that we were possibly going to put forth in the trade. All right? And that's something, listen, we gotta keep that piece in mind. Okay? Everything that the New York Knicks fans have been crying about. Play the kids, Tiz don't play the kids. They just throw them out there, throw them in the fire. Let's see how it'll go. That's the decision that we decided we were going to make moving forward. Okay? And ultimately, we did. We put Grimes. Grimes played a lot of minutes at the end of that previous season, last season. All right? Until he got injured. So this year coming in, we were like, yo, listen, if we don't get a Donovan Mitchell, we got to put Grimes at the 2. Okay? Then we wanted to see, will these players make strides in their second, in their third year? What would be the next step for them? What will IQ do? What will Obi do? What will Quentin Grimes do? Will Mitch be able to stay healthy all season? How will Jalen Brunson, as a real point guard, enhance the games of every other player on this team? Will Julius have an ish fit because another person is stealing his spotlight? Will he continue to struggle? Because we wanted him out of here. If we're being real, it was a shit show going into the season. If we're being real, because the goal would have been, if we had Donovan Mitchell, we let Stephen A. Smith convince us. And I don't want to take away from Donovan Mitchell's talent. He's a talent. But the way Stephen A. Smith was harping on, oh, I'm done with this team. I ain't going to the Garden, this, that, and the third. It's easy that when you're in the community and you start to hear all that being repeated, it starts to seep into your spirit, man. I had to turn Twitter off. Come on, man. I'm the prince of positivity. I had to turn Twitter off. They was messing up my vibe. Every time I turn on ESPN, I'm looking at Stephen A. Smith like, this bitch. Come on, man. Every time I look at Stephen A. and listen to this cat, that's what crosses my mind. All right, but going into the season, you know, we're always up, we're always vibing, but it did feel good that we had us a point guard, okay? And just reflecting on it, man, let's fast forward. That's 11 months ago, bro. It was ups and downs, but in looking at this season, several things have become clear. First off, we had a fantastic season, all right? This new point guard that we had ultimately revealed himself to be a star on the border of superstardom. Come on, man. A star on the border of superstardom. And I'm saying that to be modest because I've been calling him a superstar since the middle of the season. I said the only thing he's missing is the biggest stage. I would feel completely comfortable calling this man a superstar if he was able to do the performance, drop 41 in the finals, in a win or a loss. But that man right there on the screen, that man is a superstar. The New York Knicks won the free agency period last summer. That's another thing that this fan base and the ops overlook. That the New York Knicks went into last summer, freed up enough. I mean, they didn't just luck up and get him. They maneuvered to get rid of contracts so they could bring him on at 100 million plus. And his performance this season with where he was able to assist in taking his team, he exceeded that contract. So now it looks like we got him on a discount. That's this front office. That's this front office. Remember when we didn't get a pick in this past draft? Remember that. Remember what they was talking about with the front office, sleep at the wheel. Leon Rose to sleep at the wheel. They had that picture of him sleeping in a lounge chair all over the internet. Y'all remember that? All over the internet. But they stayed quiet. They stayed quiet.
Sorry, bro.
And they just went to work. And this is what we got out of it. We got out of it a point guard that should have been an all-star. We got out of it a point guard who should have been all NBA, who should have been the most improved player. But the media couldn't pull themselves together to be humble and admit that they were wrong and back it up. You reached into that man's pockets. He probably had bonuses in his contract. You took money, you stole money from him. You stole money from that man. But that was one of the things, that was one of the highlights of this year. In addition to that, 53 wins, if we're including the playoffs with the regular season. Bruh, how many experts? Let's talk about Vegas giving them 37 wins. How many of the experts predicted the New York Knicks would win 47 games? Did they win 47? Give me in a comment. Let me, because I can't remember offhand. How many regular season games did we win? 47? And then we got another, 6 in the playoffs? Come on now. So that's another reason to be upbeat and positive about this team. Let's talk about our guy Randall. What's up with your boy Randall? Say what you will, but this is another season, a season where he bounced back. The man made the All-Star game. The man made the All-NBA game. The man was the engine once again to helping us get to the playoffs. Now, whether or not we move forward with him, all of that remains to be seen. But you can't take away from him his work. His resume is already, the ink on his resume is already dry. He did the work. What hurts a lot of Knicks fans, and it hurts me as well, and I see it, and I'm not going to dismiss it, is if he could have been able to pull out a few more baskets. You know, if the ball would have bounced another way, then it'd be the New York Knicks facing the Boston Celtics right now, then the Miami Heat. But that could be said for every player on the team. If you would have just showed up a little bit, had you not got injured, that man was beat up. He's going to have a last dance moment where he's going to have to take this summer, watch tape, get in the gym, because they know they got to be physical with you now. They know your style of play. They can't stop you with ticky-tack fouls, so they ain't afraid to put their hands on you. But Julius Randle is undeniable in what he's been able to do this season. And he still can't get respect in this league. Still can't get respect. So Julius Randle's season is another reason New York Knicks fans have had such an enjoyable few months watching this team play basketball in the Mecca. All right. And one last thing, amongst many others, we could talk, and this is all we're still talking about player development. For those of you who say they don't develop in New York, for those of you who say Tibbs burns out his players, listen, if I hear one more person bring up that old ass line that Tom Thibodeau is burning out his players, how do you think they become all-stars? How do you think they pad their stats? When the Hall of Fame season comes, when championships come, nobody ever talks about the minute workload that those players had. Nobody cares about that. If nothing else, they're using it as a badge of honor to talk about how soft this generation is. The reason Tom Thibodeau and this team were able to be successful is because not many teams are doing what this team did in the regular season. We see the team that's excelling, our twin brothers. The only other team that plays ball the way we play ball. The only other team who barely could do anything against us. But in their game series prior, they had beyond 100 points, 112 points, and they molly-whopping the Boston Celtics right now. So cut the crap when you're talking about Tibbs. Put some respect on that man's name. Player development. Let's talk about IQ and the struggles that he had this season. Starting this season. Once again, y'all don't remember what happened. How he started off shaky this season. And I keep telling you, these are young players. These ain't your dad's NBA players. This ain't your big brother's NBA players who got it directly out of the mud. And they learn how to deal with adversity. This ain't them. Emmanuel Quickley was one of the players whose name was at the center of the Donovan Mitchell trade. RJ Barrett was one of the players whose name was at the center of the Donovan Mitchell trade. Both of them got out to slow starts. Both of them knew that the team that they loved, that they got drafted with, that they committed to help turn this thing around for, was ready to put them on a trade block in order to bring Donovan Mitchell in. And it was only Utah that stopped it. You don't think they had to have a period where they had to get their mind right? You don't think that impacted their games? It absolutely did. It absolutely did. They had to learn how to shake it off. They had to figure out, how do I shake it off and get back into my rhythm? And with Quickley, the one thing I noticed right away was he got serious. The Emmanuel Quickley that we know, that we drafted, was bouncy, always had a smile on his face, just appreciative to be in a Knicks jersey, to be in the NBA. That man pulled out the Black Mamba mentality. After Kobe went through his challenges, Kobe said, I'm gonna light this mother flipper on fire. And he did that. And IQ had the same mentality. He wasn't smiling, he was talking, he was being professional, and he wasn't, listen, he wasn't doing none of that. He said, I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna show him the type of player they almost got rid of. And I'm gonna show Utah the type of player that they said y'all don't got talent on, y'all don't got enough talent for us. I'm gonna show you how great I am. Shout out to Muhammad Ali. So we're gonna talk about Emmanuel Quickley's growth, the confidence that Tom Thibodeau has given him from day one, the green light that he's given that young man, the fact that he told him, you are a point guard. I need you to command your team like a point guard. I remember back in the summer league when he was playing point guard and Obi was playing with him and they was running up the score on everybody, and he would pull Quickley aside and still tell him what he wants him to work on. Tom Thibodeau. And then let's talk about Mitchell Robinson. Come on, can we talk about Mitchell Robinson having a second season where he served as an Iron Man, being able to last throughout the season? He did have a couple of bumps along the way, but in the season prior, that was his contract season. So you know he fought through a lot of those hard falls, a lot of those bumps, a lot of those tweaks. And in this year, for him to be able to last throughout the season and announce himself to the world, that's why I love the playoffs. That's why it's necessary that we be in the playoffs every year. Because that's the opportunity where the world's eyes are on your team. And they can see everything we've been able to see. It's not Utah's fault they didn't know what type of young players we had on our team, what their talents were, what their strengths and weaknesses were. They had no idea. But they have an idea now. When Emmanuel Quickley almost snuck up and took the award from Brogdon for Sixth Man of the Year. Where Mitchell Robinson announced himself to the world as the best offensive rebounder in the game. Someone who can impact the game so much that other teams have to coach, have to really coach and game plan for him. A defensive center. You know the defensive center that y'all wanted to trade? that guy, developed under Tibbs. And if you don't recall, when Tibbs first got here, he told Mitchell Robinson, I don't think you have the attitude to be able to play in my system. He told him something about his work ethic is a little bit off. And Mitch Rob got offended by it. Y'all remember that? Y'all don't remember that? So for those two players to buy in, and that's another thing. If Tibbs is such a antiquated coach, if Tibbs is a coach that just doesn't make so many adjustments, if Tibbs is everything that you guys are painting him out to be, the ops and the FAFs, the fake ass fans, why did this team buy into everything that he's talking about? Why do they continue to buy into Tibbs and express love and veneration for that man? Why do they continue to do that? I could see if he lost the team. But these players continue to vibe and to rock with Tibbs. So y'all gonna have to talk to me a little bit about that. That player development is non-existent in New York. But first and foremost, y'all be the first ones to bring in Mark Jackson. Talk about how Golden State did Mark Jackson wrong. And bringing in a Steve Kerr to take them to the next level. Ain't that what you're doing with Tibbs? You let that man shop and cook the food, but when it's time to serve the food, you want to bring somebody else in to eat it and to take credit for making the meal? What we talking, chat? What we talking? Friend or foe, I want the smoke. If you don't agree with me, say it. But I'm going to say what I'm going to say tonight because I got a lot to say tonight. All right? So where we at? Hold on. Let me see. What we talking? My guy Allah Wise says, no need for chatter. Just keep it pushing. Let our play talk. 100. Allah Wise also says, nice. You a wild boy for that avatar. Nice says, Freeze runs the Knicks summers. Absolutely. Freezy. Allah Wise says, facts. Knicks are nice says, Randall is staying. His best friend Cat is on the way. We're going to get to that. Allah Wise also says, nice. What you think about Randall playoffs? All right. Knicks are nice says, don't matter how I feel, front office and Dolan like Randall. Listen, we're going to get into that. Let me run through this, but I'm going to touch on that as well. Allah Wise says, true. Got to respect that. Obi was our pick. Nick said, I nice to say. He says, yep, Knicks for clicks. Kenneth Lane says, yo, congratulations, Kenneth Lane. KL, congrats. Congrats on your graduation, my brother. Mike Lilly says, can't blast the front office. Picking athletes is like picking women. There are a lot of Brunsons out there. Yo, facts. So that's why when you hit on one, yo, come on, man, you got to have an eye for that. You got to have an eye for that. And relationships matter. Relationships matter. New York Knicks were all on board when we said we were going to get Leon Rose, former player agent, who could be the central piece in helping us get players because of the relationships around the league. When we had Worldwide West come in, we were just like, listen, they don't want to come to us because of the stench that was on us for 25 years of losing. So we started bringing in these players following the model of the Lakers, following the model of other teams, hoping that we can land players that can make an impact that'll ultimately draw in other players. And we did that. What's the problem? All right? Nixon Knight says IQ folded. Listen, yes, that could be that you could see it that way. But IQ, once again, these cats are learning how to win. And I know it's easy to say, well, you got this far, you got to find it within yourself. Listen, do you see how this young kid at point guard in Cleveland folded when he saw the bright lights of Madison Square Garden? That whole team, they wilted under the lights of Madison Square Garden. It really wasn't the Knicks team. That kid Garland, literally, you saw him on the floor. It's like the crowd intimidated him. He was anxious. His anxiety levels was like 4,000. So a lot of these new players, no matter how talented, they gotta be in these moments. They gotta be in these moments to see and remember what it feels like to be there, what that hurt feels like. Now this is IQ's second time in 3 years in that spotlight. The first time he was a rookie, there was no expectations. This time he came off of a 6-man of the year potential type of season. So there was the expectation of proving that in the playoffs in big spots as well. He's going to learn from this and build on that. That's just how it works. If you work out, if you go to the gym, you're not going to wake up like even 2 months later looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You got to keep building on what it is that you work on and your gains. And then you start looking like Jimmy Butler, who is like making shots like automatically. We're coming down, we're missing 2 or 3 shots. He's putting it up. And it's just like, yo, bro, how did you become so regular with your joint? It's about being in those moments, in those positions consistently, and knowing what it takes to dig down a little bit deep and do a little bit more than those players who were there for the first time. And just happy that their families are seeing them on television doing big things. So I think IQ showed us that he took another step this season. So I'm curious to see what additional steps he makes moving forward as well. Alawai says, we definitely missed IQ in game 6. Nixon Knight says IQ was dancing all regular season and leaving the egg. He was dancing. My guy Wiz, what's up, man? Ashley Ink1 says, salute to you, my brother. Also, he says, we don't need a major move unless you call KP, Jeremy Grant, or Kuzma major. Listen, I'm going to say this. Look, if we get KP, I'm just curious to see under what conditions we get him. Kyle Kuzma, I've never been a fan. I'm sorry, bro. But this man is just as enigmatic as Ben Simmons. I don't know. I don't know. He don't feel like Knicks to me. Jeremy Grant, I could see. But if we get a player like Jeremy Grant, I'm curious about what it is we're trying to do. What are we trying to do? What are the ultimate moves? Okay? Because basically what we are doing, we are building this roster. We're building a team for sustainable winning. We're building a team that can have some cohesion and grow together. You know what I mean? But depending on what his contract is, I think he may be an unrestricted free agent coming up soon. So that would be a good look. But with KP, I'm curious about what that's going to look like, who's going to leave, and what the plan is moving forward in the future. But I don't know. Kuzma, I'm not with Kuzma. Let me see. All right, so let me get off of the player development piece. Good luck, y'all. Keep commenting. So I talked a little bit about 11 months ago where we were, right? 11 months ago, we were really like, yo, we don't know what this front office is doing. They ain't talking to nobody. They ain't talking to us. Leon Rose is asleep at the wheel. Dolan probably moved in, and why didn't Dolan come in and say push the button on Donovan Mitchell? We were doubting. We were doubting a lot. We were doubting Brunson. There was a lot of us who doubted that money that we gave. We said he didn't deserve that max. There was a lot of that talk. I remember it. It was a whole lot of it. A lot of us who are well respected. We were talking that talk about Brunson. All right. Once again, I talked about praying for Jaden Ivey. That's where we were 11 months ago. All right. And once that deal fell through, It was just crazy. I just remember calling though. I remember calling for a signature move at the end of that season, and the signature move was Jalen Brunson. You know, if we're looking at this season, man, how fantastic of a season, bro. It just doesn't feel real that we have an actual point guard. It doesn't feel real. We knew what he was. He's a scoring guard. He's a scoring point guard. Many of us would want more assists. I could personally live without it. I like what I see in terms of how he impacts our game. Okay? I'm not going to get hung up on the assists. We had the assist with Elfrid Payton. How'd that turn out? How'd that turn out? What's going to come? This is his first season. And that's something that I think we lose sight of. We're talking about, man, Jalen Brunson, he was just, there's times when he seemed selfish. He was putting up too much shots. Listen, teammates need to adjust. Because in those final few games against the Miami Heat, nobody was hitting their shots. I felt so bad for this man who was trying to refuse to let us lose. He was determined. He was determined to will us to victory. And there was nobody there to help him. Yo, it was a helpless feeling, bro. Nobody, like this man hit clutch shot after clutch shot. No matter what they threw at him, nobody could stop him. And he said, I'm going to leave my shoes on the floor and I'm going to burn them joints. I'm going into this season being able to sleep at least one night cleanly because I know I left everything on the floor. And I did everything in my power so that this team could get this victory. That's the point guard that we have. If we're going to get the assist, if we need more assists, let the whole team get the assist up. They need to get their assist up and give him the ball. Or perform. You gotta be proud of Bully Barrett, who legitimately was so inconsistent in the regular season. But goddamn, where'd you come from, Bully? Maple Mamba showed up in the playoffs. And he did his best to do his part as a young player. That was a little bit of a step. But we have to have consistency with you. You can't 100% rely on RJ because you don't know what you're going to get and when you're going to get it. So there's a lot, man. It's a lot that's really come full circle for us with this team. But a lot of the credit gotta go to the culture that has been developed by this front office, by this coach. I intentionally talked about 11 months ago where we were and how fans felt because we didn't know what was going on in the front office. We didn't know what they was doing. It didn't feel good. I remember having a watch party. I had my family members who were scattered all over the country. We're all on Zoom watching this draft. And they're sitting there like, many of them are Knicks fans, some of them weren't. And some of them were bathing in my imaginary tears of not getting a draft pick and also not knowing what the hell just happened. But this front office, when they came in, they stated that they had a plan and that they were working the plan. I remember when Leon first came on. I remember when Tibbs was hired in 2020. And I remember when both of them said, after Alan Hahn asked them the question of, all right, so who do you see on the roster? Like, who impresses you on the roster? Both of them said Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett. Those are the pieces that they mentioned. Those are the pieces that would be the foundational pieces. For them to mention those two, I really like what I see in RJ Barrett. I think he could be a player in this league, this, that, and the third. I really like what I see with Mitchell Robinson. I think what he brings to the team, clearly those were the pieces that they were going to build around. They weren't sure about Julius. You remember that, as Nice said, that's the reason why they drafted Obi. They completely expected to move on from Julius. Until I'm sure Calipari got involved and started talking to Wes and was just like, this is how you deal with Julius. You can get more out of him. This is how you do it. And then Julius completely blacked out and made it impossible for you to move on from him and insert Obi there. But with this coach being there and players knowing that the coach ain't going nowhere, so they can't force a coach out, that adds to the stability of the organization and it adds to the culture. For the team, for the young players to come in and love to work at the level that Coach Tibbs expects his players to work, that also adds to the culture. Because no one wants to be the outcast who doesn't like to work. For these players to be drafted within the time frame that Tibbs was there, he's taking ownership of them now. Those are his kids. As he said about IQ, that's my guy. That's my guy. He has a connection. He has a relationship with all of those players, which is why Cam didn't work. Because that was the one time that the front office and the coach weren't on the same page. And we saw the results of it. Unfortunately, it wasn't Cam's fault, but he was the one that caught the fire for it. Cam wasn't a Tibbs type of player. Tibbs didn't have a say in bringing Cam there. And we saw how it turned out. We saw how it turned out with Kimba. We saw how it turned out with Evan Fournier. Those weren't players that Tibbs had a hand in bringing here. We saw how it turned out. When the New York Knicks started turning things around, it's when the decisions that started to be made were involving the front office and Tibbs being on the same page. That's culture. That's what leads to sustainable winning. That's what, from the outside looking in, when you have major stars window shopping, secret shopping, the New York Knicks as a destination of free agency, they see that. They see there isn't turmoil anymore. Front office, everybody's in cohesion, and the owner stays out of it. So the culture is now a selling point in free agency discussions. And that's as a result, that's not something that happens overnight. It's slow and steady, which is why I said, let Tibbs carry out his contract length. Going into year 4 for him of a 5-year contract. He's going to survive his contract, and then he's going to be evaluated on his performance. That's good business. That's how you should do it. Everybody's trying to fire these players. Listen, we understand these are multimillionaires. We understand that they're still going to have that money even if they're fired. But do you understand how unstable we are as an organization when that happens? You understand that's been our reputation? And the New York Knicks are one of the most stable, if not the most stable organization in the NBA right now, outside of Miami. We're there now. This is why I'm extremely happy that even myself or other Knicks fans, we are not in the front office. And contrary to what the media says and other Knicks fans, we don't know what the hell we doing if we had that role. Simple. So player development, one for the culture being important, all of those things count. All of those things matter. What's undeniable is the step that we've taken as an organization. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay? Let's talk about it. My guy, here we go. We got my guy, Kenneth Lane says, not going to discredit Julius for the season, but his body language is just toxic. Walking up the court looking disinterested in game 6 is a hell no for me. It's a hell no for me too. Julius, we're going to talk about, all right, let's do it this way. I'm going to come back to that. So I want to talk about the sizable step that we've taken. All right. And it got us to this point. And I think part of that is being able to overcome some of the challenges that we had this season. There were several challenges that we had. There was a little bit of disruption. Julius had a couple of his moments again that reared their head, and we had to overcome those. We had to overcome some of the there was even an instance with RJ and Obi shortly before the end of the season, all right, where they were going at it. The competitive fire was there. And that comes when young bucks are coming into their own and they're feeling more confident to say something to some of the veterans who were there in place. And Tibbs had to get between them, okay? There was that point where Julius and IQ were going at it. IQ wouldn't back down. The New York Knicks had challenges this summer, this season, to overcome. And they overcome them to get to this point. Now, what was very disappointing was for you to go through those things, man, that does, or at least it should in theory, bring you closer together as a team. But there were certain points, man, where I just think Julius felt he was checking out. Game 6, Julius checked out. And I don't know. I'm suspecting that first and foremost, we don't know the extent of that ankle injury and how much it was healed. He shared and he talked about how it was held to get ready for each game. All right, to make sure that ankle was loose, the treatment, round-the-clock treatment, whatever he has to go through. There was a sprain that was real terrible that he really worked on to get through all of those games. So that was one thing. But I think there's moments where he doesn't feel, I don't know, man. I just think he gets a little bit upset when fans are rooting on someone else other than him. I think he thinks when fans root for other players, it's rooting against him, or they don't appreciate him as much. I think when he goes through all the treatment and things to get back in the lineup, whether it's as a effective impact or decoy, I just think he doesn't feel as if fans appreciate what he's doing, or they don't know what he's doing, so they don't appreciate what he's doing as much. But it was inexcusable, his body language in Game 6. So I agree with you, bro. I legitimately looked at that and said, he looked like he checked out. And I said it in the playoffs as well. I said it on my channel, on videos that I made. I said, don't be fooled if you think this playoff run is not an evaluation period. This playoff is going to be an evaluation period for all players. Okay? Because there are going to be people who ask out. So every one of these players, the team is looking at what the chemistry looks like, what the ability to perform under pressure looks like, what the ability to play both sides of the ball look like, and whether or not your body language or your energy contributing to the team is a positive or negative. All of those things, this playoffs, is what they're going to be looking at. And also, do you have an ability to hit big time shots and big time moments? So the New York Knicks are going to have that evaluation taking place with all of these players. And I'm telling you, my inclination was that the New York Knicks are going to find a way to flip Julius and give the reins over to Obi. I know, look, I know many of you think that ship has sailed. I don't. I know many of you think that ship has sailed. I don't. I think this season was a great opportunity to give Obi, IQ a larger role. Grimes had a little bit of a larger role as well. I think next season, it's going to be all about Obi. And how are they going to make that happen? I don't know. But I do know with Obi Toppin, some may argue that his growth was stunted playing behind Julius. I'll argue that's a possibility, but you're battling a two-time All-Star and a two-time All-NBA player. every day in practice for 3 years. That's who you're playing behind. That's like Aaron Rodgers playing behind Brett Favre all that time. That's like Steve Young playing behind Joe Montana. Do you not think they're going to learn something? Julius Randle is not Brett Favre or Joe Montana, but you get my point. My point is, when you're playing behind a player who is established in the league, you learn. And then you also understand that when it's your time, you know what it takes. You know the work that goes into hitting those goals. Obi has a lot of work to do. But he represented himself well in the minutes that he did get. But he has a lot of work to do. But I truly think just what we've seen from Julius, this organization, this front office, this fan base can't take another season with these antics. It's taking away from the overall goal. When one of your best players is acting like a player that's a malcontent. One of your best players is acting like Lance Stevenson. You can't have that. You can't have that. So with this team, man, I think they'll say, we love you. We're going to try to put you in a situation to be successful. But bro, we're going to move in a different direction, slightly different direction. We got to make a tweak. And what I love is, this team is not afraid to do that because they benched Derrick Rose. They benched Evan Fournier. They told them we want to win. And this is what we think is going to take the next step. And they were right. So for those of you people who say, they're not going to get rid of Julius to get that relationship, look at what they did to Derrick Rose. And that is Tibbs' son. That's Tibbs' son. But in the middle of the season, boom, I'm sorry, we got to be about winning. 2 veterans. The level of embarrassment that comes with that. The magnitude of that decision, but he made it. So I really think we're going to be looking at, but it has to be for the right play. This is why you don't want to just give away Julius. Because with that coaching change in Milwaukee, if Giannis comes free, come on, man. And this is where I get into the pontifications. If a Giannis comes free, and he says, I'm looking to, see what's next. Y'all will be tight if we don't have another kind of big body or big player to be the centerpiece of that offer. Y'all be tight, right? Y'all will be tight. Or if, like who I heard say it. I shout out to Into the Knicks verse. Shout out to the Into the Knicks verse. If you haven't checked out his podcast, please do. Great knowledge of the game. Love his passion as well. But he talked about, what about Zion for Julius straight up? Pelicans get someone who is experienced, brings a similar type of game, more polished, more accomplished at this point. And it's possible to do it straight up because of Zion's health history. So would you do it? Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a former, listen, my college team was Duke University. Blue Devils all day, every day for the last 20-something years. So I was one of the people who was just like, Zion in the jersey, we gonna get Zion. I was one of the people that was with Ari who dropped his head once we didn't get that number 1 pick. I was one of them. I'm a pro Zion fan. I'm not a fan of the injuries, but that is a great condition under which the Pelicans would let him go. They already seen his injuries. They already know that they've had a problem with him getting his weight down. They already know that they have a problem sometimes keeping him engaged. They had to give him that extension based off of his talent and that potential alone. But there are a couple of things that stand out that make me think the Pelicans just wants to move on. And to have Julius Randle, who is accomplished as he is, would be a pretty nice swap. He's been there before. But I think if we're getting Zion, the New York Knicks will consider a couple of things. First and foremost, he's going to be back with his brother. He's going to be back with RJ Barrett. They're going to be working out in the summers. He will spend time with RJ Barrett. It is on record that he rarely spends time with anybody outside of the sport of basketball who's currently on his team. When CJ McCullough got there, he said he had a hard time getting in contact with Zion. He had been there for weeks, and the reporters asked, have you been able to talk to Zion? He said, not yet. And he is the head of the player situation. There's a tier, a hierarchy in the NBA. Zion should have known that he had to be the one to reach out to him. He didn't know that, though. Talk about the motivation. This is a young player who is unhappy. Imagine putting him in Madison Square Garden, in the mecca of basketball where he wanted to go. You saw his visceral response when he was drafted by when the lottery balls went to the Pelicans. He wanted New York. You saw what he felt when RJ, his brother, went to New York. I think him in the New York market, that man will drop 15 pounds easily, at minimum. I think with the level of work, and not even the level of work, but I'm almost positive that Tibbs is going to have a weight requirement, because that's what those Riley boys do. Everybody on the Riley coaching tree, they have the weight requirements. Zion will be required to maintain a certain weight while he's playing, and in the off season. He might even get random weight tested. So that would be a trade I will pull in a heartbeat. And that would be indicative of the New York Knicks that's a superstar. With as minimum games as this man has played, with his sketchy health, he is immediately a superstar the New York Knicks would have. Immediately. And the last person who I know is a pipe dream, but would be the only other. So that said, there's three players. When I talked bad about those people on Twitter with all of their fugazi or the foo trades, and I want to get this person, I'm going to get that person. I'm like, listen, man, you got to have a certain mindset to play in New York, bro. Or you have to have a certain talent level to play in New York, to deal with that pressure, to be in the big spots. The spotlight is hotter and brighter if you're doing all of those things in New York. So I said, honestly speaking, the only person who I would throw everything at in order to get them would be Giannis. And before we had Brunson, I said I would do it for LaMelo. Because I think Melo's game, if he's healthy, I just think he's going to be amongst the greats if he stayed healthy. He has a really crazy game. But the other superstar, who I know is on the decline, who I would look at bringing in, obviously, is this man, Stephen Mother Flippin' Curry. I think the Golden State Warriors are boys to men. They are at the end of the road. All right? I think they're at the end of the road. I think Steph Curry admires Kobe Bryant in terms of staying with one organization and retiring your jersey. But I'm like, if there's ever a point where he says, you know what, I was committed to New York. I was expecting New York coming out of the draft. I see what they're doing. Why not come there and add to it? I would be like, yo, whatever we need to throw over there, throw it over there. Let this man shooters shoot. Shooters shoot. And generational shooters shoot. So I would do that for Steph Curry. Get that man over here. Okay? So that's the piece where I said, my brother, I talked about those people on Twitter, but I'm going to throw my 3 out. These are the stars who I would do it for. I don't know, man. Cat just seems soft to me, bro. Come on, man. I mean, you let Jimmy Butler run you out with that tirade, and your body language was all affected and impacted. Him and Andrew Wiggins. I know they were young, but Gabe Vincent is young. You know those players in Miami. Come on, man. There's a certain type of player that can handle like those spots, man. And you know, I don't know. I think he was like I think he was happy when Tibbs got fired. You know, so when y'all talk Cat, I'm like, come on, man. Y'all memory ain't that short? Y'all don't remember that? And with KP, I do KP, man. I would, you know, I'd be down with KP. KP did his time. Knicks fans, you know, we're in a good space. We're beyond the whole KP and how he left. And I do think that what he brings to the team would be, it would give us a different dimension. It would absolutely give us a different dimension. We have pieces where he compliments us and we compliment him very well. And our point guard has played with him before. So the point guard obviously would be able to sign off on that, co-sign that. So I could do KP, man, but if none of that comes about, bro, run this thing back. Run this thing back. Find a way to get some players playing more playing time. Run this thing back. But make sure you don't make any decisions without bringing that coach in. You got to bring Tibbs in on it because it's part of this piece. It's part of the leadership. Say what you will. All you people who are naysayers about Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks and the decisions, the front office not talking to media, look, as long as they're on the same page, the New York Knicks organization hasn't had that in centuries. Hasn't had that in centuries. The moment these two got on the same page, front office and the coach, solid decisions, solid moves, solid players we were able to secure and pick up and have on this team. The most important move was getting this player, the point guard, for us for the future. Tom Thibodeau type of player. Hell, his godson. The man went out and got his godson. A player, a little Tom Thibodeau on the floor. And what I love about it, it's even in the regular season, but in the playoffs, that's what the opponents were saying. They say he's Tom Thibodeau, he's Tibbs on the floor. All Tom Thibodeau needed was the point guard who can relay the message and read his mind on the floor and has an ability to score and has an ability to be a superstar. Without the athleticism and without the dynamics, he is a form or a version of what Derrick Rose was for Tom Thibodeau. That's half of the battle. We need a player who's going to be at the same skill level or better than Jalen Brunson to be on this team. That's what we need. So when we're thinking about everybody that we're going to bring in, you got to ask yourself, is he at the same skill level or is he better than Jalen Brunson? Because that should be the criteria for us bringing him in or us pursuing him. Well, those people who talk about Cat, who talk about Joel Embiid, I know I'm gonna come off sounding crazy. This ain't a center league no more. This isn't a center league anymore. I think those players are plotting. You know, they got a little bit of three-point shot. I mean, he's an MVP, Joel. I know that's the part that's making me sound crazy. But when I think of the style of play that we've played the last year and what we want to do and some of the ailments, I think sometimes Julius Randle's game slows us up. We already got the point guard who has an ability to post up and do that. It's also all about what side of the floor does the players have to get into, and that's what slows up the offense so that we can make sure they're not on the same side of the floor. I'm not a coach. I'm not professing to know offensive schemes. I know what my eyes see. That's why we're so enamored when Obi gets in the game and Obi gets into his rhythm, because now the offense opens up. It flows. It free flows. So you get a cat. You're gonna get someone who wants the ball dumped into him. You get a Joel Embiid, you're gonna want somebody who you got to do your triangle and get the ball, passed around and let him work, let him cook. And if y'all get those players, then definitely you're going to hear all of the talk about Tom Thibodeau being antiquated because he decided to develop his offense around the skill sets of the players. And we really going to be looking like the Patrick Ewing Knicks. Good, but not good enough. Yeah, I said it. Good, but not good enough. So, I don't know. Those are my players. Those are the players who I would look at and think about bringing in. But I just wanted to get on here, man, and just say, look, we're in a good place, man. We're in a good place. This New York Knicks team, I mean, we're proud of it. We're proud of them. We're all excited for what the next step is going to be. I'm pulling for Jokic in Denver to get this championship because they're the one team I think I could stomach winning, and going into the offseason knowing that LeBron didn't get no damn chip, Jimmy Butler didn't get no damn chip, Tatum and them didn't get no damn chip. So I think Denver is who I'm going for. But with this New York Knicks team, man, I'm just so proud, man. I'm proud of the fact that, I'm proud of the fact that this team showed development, bro. We showed not only heart, we showed the ability to stick together. We showed the ability to stay engaged with the coach. I saw that the coach made adjustments, contrary to what y'all say. He put up more since he's been here. The team puts up more threes, even if we ain't making them. It's a part of the game plan to get up threes. He made the very tough decision to sit two veterans and to go forward with the youth. He was able to motivate Mitchell Robinson to take his game to another level. So, and there's not many, we want to talk about certain instances where he was out-coached, but we got to talk about those instances where he out-coached opposing teams. Semi-conference finals is impressive. It's absolutely impressive. 37 games is what we were predicted to reach. It's what we were predicted to reach, man. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what takes place this season. I'm looking forward to seeing who becomes available. All right. I'm 100% ready to run it back with this team. I just, as much as Julius gets on my damn nerves, it feels good to see us go into another season with players who've been there for a fourth year or fifth year or going into their third year with us. It's been a long time since we've had that type of element on our team. Players who getting old in our organization. We've already seen they had the ability to push a little bit further. We got to the semi-conference finals. I was predicting them to go to the finals, and we see that was possible. We see that was possible. A couple of tweaks and a couple of wins, and we would be in the finals. This year, more than any other in recent memory, is a wide open year. And we see that. So, I think that window is there for anybody who makes a slight move to be able to step in where Golden State position is and to be who's next. As John Morant's, self-destructs, they were close to being next. They're questionable now. Why not us? Why not us? So as I close this out, let me read the comments real quick. Some of the comments. Yeah, I know some of my statements are a little bit wild, but we're gonna go through it. Big L, my guy Big L says, who should we get in the offseason? Let's start this up. Nick on Night says, no way Bucks are letting Giannis leave. We'll see. Big L says Zion plays 29. Big O says Zion plays 29 games per season in the past 4 years. Damn, you might be. I think those are facts. Ken Flame says Embiid was hurt his first few years too. I take the flyer on Zion, to be honest. I'm with you, my guy. I'm with you. Mike Lilly says Dookie here too, bro. I don't know about Zion though. Not reliable. We need a scoring big man for sure and a straight up shooter at the 2. Hopefully QG gets steady. Great comment. Big L says, I like LaMelo. Yeah, me too, bro. I think his potential is like through the roof. I think he has an ability to be an MVP if he stays healthy one day. Big L says, Cat is soft. Man, he is, bro. And he takes 50 mil per year. Yeah, that's a little rich. He's done this thing in this league, bro, but New York is a different beast. Big O says Denver going to win it all. I hope so. All right. So before I get out of here, I like to actually see what we can do with Knicks Reddit. All right. Let's see what they're talking over here on Knicks Reddit. Okay, and then we're gonna close this thing out. So let me share my screen with you guys. Thank you for rocking with me, man. I'm excited for this squad. I'm not going to keep y'all any longer because it is going on 11:30. But let's see what we talking in Knicks Reddit. Give me one moment, and we're going to say bong. Got you. Let's get it where you guys can see. With a comment. And bam, there we go. So let's see what other Knicks fans are talking. All right, so we got Melo Stair, who has the quote from Tommy Bear, who says, this postseason Jalen Brunson shot in the clutch, 63.6% in the clutch. That's the highest field goal percentage among all players that have attempted at least 10 field goals in the playoffs. That's a great stat. Great stat. What else we got here on Knicks Reddit? Rebecca Harlow says, who is pumped for next year? I think we've got a really solid chance at the chip this year. Our guys are hungry and ready to win. I agree, man. I agree. Mitch's Block Party says, me explaining we have 2 all-NBA players at home to the trade for a star crowd. I agree, man. I agree. Just like, Julius is so enigmatic, man. He's so enigmatic, so unpredictable. All right, here Melo Stair says, in NBA history, 10 point guards have averaged over 27 points per game for a single playoff run with a minimum of 10 games. Out of all of those playoff runs, Jalen Brunson has the 3rd highest field goal percentage behind Jerry West and Steph Curry. Yeah, he had an impressive run. Jalen Brunson announced himself to the world. He definitely announced himself to the world. It says Brunson is the true New York point guard. Okay, I don't know what that's about though. Let's watch. Let's see what's up. Let's go. Ankle. little hype clip on TikTok for Brunson. We'll do a few more of these. It says, watching Heat versus Celtics makes me appreciate Coach Tibbs more. Oh, do tell. I was hating on Tibbs after Game 6 because of the bad decisions like the lineup during Brunson's rest, taking Obi out right when he was on a hot streak, not playing Randall for the whole fourth. But looking at the series as a whole, Tibbs absolutely almost took Spo to Game 7. And considering how badly Boston is failing now, it only makes our team look better in comparison. Okay. Boston is failing right now. It only makes our team look better in comparison. At least we didn't go down 0-2 in the Garden. Tibbs is definitely one of the better coaches in the league, and we are lucky to have him. Yo, shout out to this guy, man. Shout out to this guy. We're going to do the New York. Come on, we got to get that shout out to him. All right? Over here, posted by New York 8 All, says distress star trade value Julius Randle comps. I decided to look at all trades over the last 5 years that included a star player that had tarnished trade value for one reason or another. Style of play, off the court issues, etc. I'd put Julius Randle in the high end of this list. An all NBA player in his prime, always in shape, on a good contract, but has shown to not have the mental fortitude needed in the playoffs so far in his career. Kyrie for Dinwiddie in a first rounder, Jeremy Grant for 1 first and 2 seconds, CJ McCollum and Larry Nance for Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 1 first and 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm not even going to click on that. Guess which player stats these are? 19.3, 4.5, 2.8 with shooting splits. Not going to get into that either. We're going to do 2 more. This guy says hats off to the Heat. Nah, F that. No, let me go back. Let me see. Miami Heat team was extremely well coached, man. I know all my Knicks fans were not surprised to see Boston going down like this. They have a really good system that matches their personnel. Everyone on that team can shoot the lights out with the exception of Jimmy and Bam, and they are both excellent mid-range shooters for their size too. Jimmy exemplifies leadership. He oozes it. I thought Tibbs, if anyone, would know his kryptonite. I know everyone wants to trade Julius, and I don't think that would be the worst thing for this team. Stop it with the running him out of town stuff, though, man. If you can't appreciate the fact that he brought us back to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years and played almost every single game this season with high minutes, then you're a casual. Yes, he choked in the playoffs again, but understand that he did get injured early on. All right, shout out to you. And this last one I'll read says, not gonna lie, this feels like vindication for us. They are giving Boston that work, which shows how good of a team we lost to. All right. So shout out. I'm gonna stop sharing. And this is where we are. So I'm gonna tie this thing up. I want to thank y'all for rocking with me. Seems like we're all on the same page as fans. I'm going to have a couple of other videos that are popping up. I want to give a special shout out to Emmanuel quickly this season. So I'm going to have a video for him coming up. Also want to have a video coming up for Brunson, you know? So let's look for that. Once again, thank you for joining me. Rock with me, my SB community. If you're a little bit late to the channel, I'm going to be doing a rebrand. Y'all know that we do Knicks Daily after Knicks victories, but the whole channel is going to switch on to Knicks Daily on all platforms. So no longer SB Knicks. It's going to be Knicks Daily, and we're going to move forward with that. So I appreciate you all. Keep this in mind. Same thing applies to our team that applies to our lives. If there's no struggle, there is no progress. And not only are we here now, but we got next, goddammit, and we got the next few years. Cheer, brilliance, Knicks. Y'all have a good night. I'm out. Peace.
Victory. I just got another victory. Opposition said they sick of me. We turned their future to history. They tried to hit me, they missing me. Ooh.